Hey everyone, it's Rob B here with Rob D, and you are listening to the Property Podcast. Each year we do something a bit crazy, something that no one else would ever do. We go back and listen to what we predicted 12 months ago, what we said would happen this year. Most people just make predictions and nobody follows up. But we are crazy because we do follow up and we tell all of you exactly what we said.
Welcome to the Property Podcast. Thank you for joining us. In case you don't know, we run a business that buys more than £100 million worth of property for our clients every year. You can find out about that at propertyhub.net/invest. And yes, this is the annual episode where we fact check ourselves. Were we surprised by house prices, rents, interest rates, or even the Premier League? Well, stick around to find out.
A great way to slightly delay today's episode is to bring you this week's news story. And let's look at someone else who's going to miss their numbers before we look at us potentially missing ours. So the UK government said that they're going to deliver 1.5 million homes over 5 years, and that was by 2029. Now, the Reform Deputy Leader has come out this week and said they will miss that target by over 40% and deliver around about 800,000 homes. Rob, I don't think this is news. I'd be surprised if they hit 800.
Yeah, and if you don't like reform, that's okay, because it's not just them. Savills analysis says the same thing, 840,000 new homes by the end of the Parliament. And I think when this target was announced in the first place, we said the safest prediction of all time is to say it's not going to happen, because it's never happened. No government has ever hit their housing target in the entire time we've been doing this podcast. And why are they going to miss? Well, Richard Tice says in this interview that a lot of it is to do with costs, to do with energy costs, to do with regulation, and there's certainly going to be some truth in that. We've talked in the past about how building just isn't economically viable in large parts of the country, but a lot of it is also going to be the market. Builders will only build what they believe they can sell at the price they want to sell it at. So it's kind of a nonsense for a government to have a housing target in the first place, because it's not something they can control.
Well, they can't directly control it. They can help get towards it. And I don't think that help has been coming either. I know developers who've spoken to the government, push back on how complex things like Gateway have been. That's a planning process that you need to go through if you want to build high rise. It's all a mess. We talked about it before on the podcast. Not going to go into it now. But when they've pushed back on the government and said, but what about your housing targets? They've privately said, well, they're soft targets. So they're already climbing down internally from their own targets. Publicly, they may still be sticking to them. But already privately, they're saying that it's a soft target, or maybe we describe it as a stretch target. So I don't think Richard Tice or Savills have been particularly radical here with their prediction. I think their prediction makes a lot more sense of what's going to be delivered. We already have to look at where we are with the state of planning, what's being built, the lack of homes being built, particularly in places where they need to be built as well. We've recently talked about the lack of homes being built in London, a place where homes are probably needed the most. So there we have it, Rob. We have one target missed by, looks like it's going to be by over 40%. So if we do better than 40% swings on our numbers today, then I think we're ahead of the government at least.
Well, I hereby rebrand our predictions soft predictions. So now we don't have to be embarrassed if we get them wrong, because, we just thought maybe, but it would be in the area. So it's as much walking back as we can, because we can't delay any longer. We have to go back and see how our January selves did. So every year in January, we make a set of predictions, and then every December, we revisit to see how we did. It's historically been a mixed bag. Let's see how this year went. So we're going to get into predictions on interest rates, rents, things way outside our wheelhouse like Bitcoin and the stock market. But we always start, Rob, with house prices. So let's go back and listen to what we said would happen to house prices this year.
My prediction is growth between 4 to 5%.
So where I've ended up is actually a bit lower. I've ended up at 2 to 3%. Is the number that I've chosen.
Well, I obviously had a bit of New Year optimism when I delivered those numbers. But Rob, you were very, very close, because Nationwide, the set of data that we use every year for this segment, has said that house prices are up this year by 1.8%. So you were 0.2% out. So I'll give you that one. That one's super close. I'm miles away. But I'm not the only one who was miles away, because others did make predictions as well. Nationwide said 2 to 4%. I mean, that's such a banding. It's hard to go wrong. So they were close, but they were also 2.2% out if you do the upper range. Zoopla, 2.5%. So wrong. Maybe not as wrong as me. Rightmove. I like Rightmove. They said 4%, which is where I was. And Hamptons was up by 3% as well. So the majority of the experts were wrong, but you, sir, were very, very close. Well done.
Yeah, wrong, but less wrong. I'll take it. And I think the reason that everyone overshot, I don't think it's because the path of mortgage rates or anything differed radically from what was expected. I really would put it down to sentiment. This has been one of the worst years for sentiment that I can remember. And for me, it's that intangible factor rather than any kind of big macro thing that's probably weighed us down this year. Okay, let's move on to cities. Which cities did we think would perform best? Historically, one of our stronger areas. So let's have a listen to what we said. I'm going to give 4 names and hope that 3 of them make the top 5. I would consider that a good result. So Manchester, Birmingham, Sheffield, Newcastle.
I am going for these 4 will all appear in the top 5.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Manchester, Birmingham, Sheffield, and Liverpool. Well, Rob, we've had an incredible track record of predicting the cities that are going to perform the best each year. And I think we've done pretty good. Like, we've done exceptionally well.
Ooh, yeah.
You've nailed it. You were a little more cautious with your prediction. Once again, I think the January buzz made me a bit bold of trying to name 4 out of the 5. You said out of your 4 choices, 3 of them would make the top 5. Well, that absolutely happened because Manchester was in the top 5, Sheffield was in the top 5, and Newcastle was in the top 5. I said all of my 4 would make the top 5. So Manchester did, Sheffield did. Liverpool was the top performer, which was great. I put that one in as well. Where I went wrong was Birmingham. That stopped me getting all 4 of 5. But Birmingham did come 6th, so it wasn't that far away. I'm not going to beat myself up over that one.
So close.
Yeah, super close. So I'm really happy, Rob. We every year seem to do very well in this area. I think it gives us some credibility when the rest of our predictions aren't so strong. So I'm super pleased that we've continued this trend. I'm already feeling the pressure for next year to make sure we get it right. But this year, I'd say I think we've nailed it. I think that's a really strong performance.
Yeah, very happy with that. And given that it's a large part of our business, figuring out where and what you should be investing in, I'm glad that we've got credibility on this matter. So Rob, enjoy. Remember this feeling, because we need to move on to London. We always make a separate prediction for how London will perform. Let's hear what we said.
And my prediction is that London, for the first time in a very long time, will finish in the top half of the home track top 20 cities.
Rob, I'm not just saying this, I'm rustling my paper at you, so you know it's true. I had exactly the same thing, and I felt bold saying that as well. But London top half finish, yeah, absolutely. Can anyone remember why we made this prediction? This was not close.
No, I think we went early on London. I think we've seen potential there, and the data suggests that London's going to start performing soon. I think we've gone early. Now, I think if we are trying to be fair to ourselves, Rob, London for the last few years has finished bottom, rock bottom of the 20 cities that Home Track reports on, or second to bottom. It's been in the bottom 2 for as long as I can remember. I can't remember when it wasn't in the bottom 2. It didn't finish in the bottom 2 this year. It actually didn't finish in the bottom 5. But it was 6 from bottom. So it's not like...
I love how you're dressing this up.
Yeah, it's not as bad as it has been for London. There are places that have done worse this year. Portsmouth, Southampton, Aberdeen, Cambridge, Bournemouth, to name a few. But it's not made the top 10. It's made the top 15, but not the top 10. So while we are absolutely wrong, at least we spotted the trend of movement. If I'm grasping at straws here, I think we've gone early on the strength of the recovery, but there has been a bit of a recovery. Or if you want to be not as kind to us, there are areas that have just done a lot worse. London hasn't recovered, and so those other areas I've mentioned have just really done poorly, and London hasn't really changed much. You can look at it either way. It is getting near to Christmas, so hopefully you take a more charitable view to our prediction.
London had relative strength for the southeast, so I think that we can say that. And it was only a soft prediction anyway, forget it. Let's move on. Let's move on and talk about rents. So we've talked about house prices. We wanted to know what rental inflation would be in 2025. So let's hear what we said.
I've just got down that rental inflation will be higher than general inflation. So wherever general inflation is, rental inflation will be higher.
I've gone for 4%, which I think is probably a little on the low side.
Boom, I was right.
Yeah, congratulations. Your extremely safe and wishy-washy prediction has turned out to be bang on.
To be fair to me, some of our predictions previous to this one had been very bold. So I was allowed a safer one. And look, playing safe paid off this time. So I'm happy. I needed it, Rob.
Yeah, and I'm just bitter because I was not right. I said 4%, and the actual was 5%. So I think the context for this coming into January was we'd been coming off this period of crazy rental inflation, like double digits. You can see on the monthly numbers that rental inflation was coming down. It was just a case of how far down it would come. And in the end, not quite as far as I thought, but 5% rental inflation in the ballpark and higher than general inflation, as you said.
And yields continue to improve this year. Yields were good last year, but yields this year are really attractive. And this will lead into our predictions for next year because property on just a numbers play is becoming more and more attractive. This isn't really talked about. Rental inflation is high at 5%, but because it's not at double digit levels we've seen in previous years, it's not really got that attention. But that's still a strong number. And because of that, returns in certain areas are very attractive right now. And it will also be helped, Rob, with interest rates coming down and borrowing costs coming down. And we, of course, made some predictions about interest rates. So we know they're down, but did we get it right?
I feel like I'm playing it pretty safe by saying that there are going to be 2 base rate cuts. And I'm assuming that each of those will be 0.25%. So that would put us at 4.25 if I'm correct.
You're in my range, which is it will finish between 4 to 4.5%. Oh, I'm on fire.
Well, once again, your vagueness paid off.
I'm on fire.
Spot on.
Let's go.
Yeah, so you said 4 to 4.5, and the actual was 4. So you were correct. I've been punished by specificity once again. I said that there would be 2 cuts. There have actually been 3. So it ended up being a mere 0.25% out. But again, close enough. And I think we should have expected to be close here because that was always going to be the direction. Rates were always going to come down. They were never going to plummet or go up again unless something totally dramatic and unexpected happened. So it was just a case of exactly how much. I think you were right. I was close, but that's how it should have been.
It's a really interesting landscape because property investment now on paper is a stronger proposition than it was a year ago. We've not seen that reflected in house prices, but as I touched on earlier, rents are up and borrowing costs are down. So the landscape for property investment going into 2026 is certainly more compelling than it was 12 months ago. So again, I'm really interested about what we'll predict for next year, because while sentiment isn't there, the fundamentals for investment are. So there's that mismatch, and what will happen? Well, we'll talk about it in a few weeks. But of course, we stray beyond our realm of expertise, or our perceived realm of expertise, and we make predictions about other areas of the world, including the stock market. And each year, we make a prediction on the FTSE 100. So let's listen back to what we said about the FTSE, what will happen. I'm going to say the FTSE 100 will break 9,000 for the first time.
What? I'm going for a binary up or down on this one. And I'm going down. Not a lot down. I think maybe just very slightly, but I'm going down from its current level.
Oh, I'm absolutely loving this episode. I'm absolutely loving it. This might be my best year yet.
I think it might be. This is incredible. So, yeah, you said it would break 9,000. At the time of recording in early to mid-December, it is 9,667. And for context, at the start of the year, it was 8,260. So the FTSE is up 17% this year, which is actually more than the S&P 500. So everyone thinks the US market is super strong, the AI boom, all this stuff. The UK at the time of recording has actually performed better throughout this year. I'm just going to keep on spitting out facts like this because I want to detract from the fact that I got it completely wrong and said it would be down. But well done, Rob. That was not an obvious prediction at the start of the year, but you got it bang on.
There you go. Being bold occasionally does pay off. Right. It's all going to be in bold. Bitcoin. That's an interesting, I was going to say, what asset? Is it an asset? Well, many would debate, but we're not going to debate that. What we are going to do is listen back to what we said would happen with Bitcoin this year. I believe that it will be at least 40% higher than where it is today. Today it's at 93,000 US dollars. I believe at some point it will be 40% higher than where it is now.
So I'm going to be less bold and just go close above 100,000. My goodness, you've very nearly done it again. So you said it would be up 40% from what it was at the time we recorded last, which was 93,000. It didn't go up 40%, but it did go up 34.5%. So close there.
Very close. But let's face it, while you could argue all of what we do is guesswork, with Bitcoin, it really is. It's such a volatile asset. Imagine making a prediction with any other asset class saying it's going to grow by 40% this year. Nobody would take it seriously. But the crazy thing is, predicting that Bitcoin could go up by 40% at the beginning of the year may have been a little bold, but it wasn't a crazy, outlandish prediction because Bitcoin is crazy and outlandish in the way it behaves. So up by 30-odd%, didn't quite get there, but it's absolutely mad how close it got because 40% growth in 1 year is a nuts prediction. And of course, now it's down on where it actually started when we made this prediction. So it's all over the place as an asset. It
is. So at the time of recording, I'm wrong because I said it would close above 100,000, but I could easily be right by the end of the year.
By the end of the day.
Yeah, we could be back and forth across that line 10 times by the time the year actually ends. So believe it or not, Bitcoin's volatility is actually falling over time. With every passing year, as it gets more adoption, it is becoming less volatile as an asset, but starting from a extremely volatile base. So still seeing 30% swings is something that Bitcoiners are very used to. Yeah, like you say, imagine if that happened in property, we'd all be freaking out. But let's move on to our final prediction, the one that is the absolute furthest from my comfort zone, the Premier League.
I think Liverpool will hold on. I don't think it will be by a huge margin by the end, but I think they will hold on to win the league. I really hope so.
I'm outsourcing my predictions to Polymarket, and according to that, Liverpool has a 72% chance of winning. So I'm with you in your prediction that Liverpool are going to win. I'm also going to predict that Southampton are going to be relegated because there's a 94% chance of that, apparently, and either Mo Salah or Haaland are going to be the top goal scorer. So I'm feeling super confident in my Premier League predictions, despite the fact I know absolutely nothing about football. But the markets are speaking, and I am listening.
Well, I'm delighted, Rob, absolutely delighted to say that both our predictions were right here. What a wonderful, wonderful end to the podcast to remind everybody that Liverpool won the league last year. We won't talk about this year.
You choose to focus on that. I'm going to focus on the fact I got Liverpool to win, Southampton relegated, and the top goal scorer correct. That was because I outsourced my prediction to a prediction market. So maybe that's the real lesson for this year. Just let the wisdom of crowds do the work for you.
I mean, saying that Salah or Haaland would end up being top goal scorer as prediction is like saying the sun will set this evening. That wasn't that bold, particularly we were a bit into the season at that point.
See, I don't even know that. Like, I barely know who these people are. I was quite impressed. I didn't know what a safe prediction that was.
It may have actually been the safest prediction out of all the predictions we've done. I can be accused of playing it safe on a few of these, but that felt very safe partway into last season. But anyway, we were correct, and I'm very, very happy that we were correct about that prediction.
So overall, there have been notable high spots, like the cities, and slightly lower spots, like London. But I'd say as a duo, a pretty solid year. And for you in particular, a very strong performance. You definitely take the crown this year. Well done.
Thank you. Call me Mystic Rob. I was clearly in a good place at the beginning of last year. I am already nervous about making next year's predictions. They are our most downloaded episode as well each year. So it's not like only a few people listen. So thousands upon thousands of people will listen to that episode again when we do it in January. I know you listening now will absolutely tune in. And why not? Because we've got a lot right this year. So pats on the back to both of us, Rob. I'm pretty happy.
Okay, so we will do it again in January. Tune back in January to see what our predictions for 2026 are going to be. But before we wrap up this episode, we've just got time for Hub Extra, the part of the show where we bring you a little bit more, some kind of tool, tip or resource to make your life a bit better. And Rob, I know from our conversations during the week that a past Hub Extra resource has pretty much changed your life over the last couple of weeks. And so you want to revisit it.
I do, because I want to just make sure more and more people are using this Hub Extra, which was previously mentioned, as Rob said, but I've only started using it recently, and it is Whisper AI. It's spelled WISPR, and it's Whisper Flow, actually. So it's Flow spelled correctly. The link will be in the show notes anyway. What is it? Well, it sounds incredibly basic, which is probably why it took me a little bit of time to pick it up, Rob, because when you described it, I was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. But there are other tools that do this. What does it do? Dictation. You just press a couple of buttons on your keyboard and you dictate to it. You dictate your emails, your messages on Teams, whatever you need to send. You just dictate what your message. It will tidy it up for you if you make a mistake, but you can also set the tone for where it's going as well. So if you are writing an email, you can tell it for all emails, take a more formal tone. If you are sending a message to a friend, you can tell it to be very relaxed in tone. And then if it's for Teams, you can say somewhere in the middle. I like that. I like the way that you can set tones as well. So it tidies up your writing and makes sure the tone of what's written is appropriate for where it's being sent. I can't get over how easy it is to use. There are other platforms out there that have dictation. ChatGPT has its own. Apple has its own. Pretty much every other platform has dictation. Whisper AI just seems to have nailed it. It just makes typing now feel redundant to me. I don't want to type anymore. Even on my phone, I'm like, oh man, I've got to send a message. Like, I don't want to. It's made me an incredibly lazy typer, but incredibly effective since I've started using it, because I'm no longer procrastinating on certain writing tasks I need to do. I don't find that it's such a burden to complete certain aspects of admin where, again, a fair bit of writing has to be done. Rob, you are the writer. I'm not a writer. So to take away this pain point for me and to allow me to do what I'm doing now, talk, which I'm half decent at, and not have to do the typing part, for me is a dream come true. So thank you. I wish I'd got onto it sooner because it sounds so basic. I didn't. But trust me, dear listener, use it. This is not sponsored, of course. You get a free trial to begin with. My trial is nearly up, but I tell you what, can't wait to give them my money. It's absolutely brilliant. So a strong endorsement from me. And a little bonus, I've been using Claude a lot more recently over ChatGPT. I found ChatGPT to be a bit lazy in a lot of its responses, very basic as well. I've been using Claude more and more. I've upgraded to the premium version of Claude recently as well. Again, just because it seems so superior to ChatGPT. I'm using both. But when I'm testing across the two platforms, I'm finding Claude is outperforming ChatGPT for the type of tasks I'm working on.
Well, there you go. It's probably been the year of AI for us. It feels like we had a good proportion of Hub Extra resources being AI related. But why not? As you've described, it's got the potential to make your life so much easier and so much better. Well, that is us done for this week. We made it through the review of our predictions, so we will be back next week. We may be closing in on Christmas, but we will still be here, and there's still time this year to get things done. So thank you for joining us. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.